Ladies and gentlemen, something historic is happening right now in American politics. The Democrats are in full-blown panic mode. In fact, poll numbers collapsing, party unity shattered, and even CNN's own analysts, yes, CNN guys, they're admitting that Donald J. Trump's approval rating is soaring while the left hits rock bottom. But that's not all. Down in Missouri, a Trump-backed redistricting plan just detonated like a political earthquake, reshaping the map and handing Republicans another path to expand their House majority. The so-called blue wave that the media has been promising, dead on arrival. And the best part, the numbers don't lie. In fact, every single data point shows what they've been saying for months. The American people are seeing through the lies, the fear tactics, and the fake shutdown spin. They've watched Trump deliver on the economy and the border. On this global stage here, we're now seeing the entire Democrat machine crumbling under the weight of their own hypocrisy. So guys, today I want to break down exactly how the polls just flipped, how Missouri lit the fuse, and why Democrats are watching their entire midterm dreams go up in smoke. Guys, this ain't just another news cycle. This is the moment the red wave became unstoppable. Hit the like button, subscribe, folks. Let's talk about it. The meltdown is real. The Democratic Party isn't just losing, it's imploding. The latest Quinnipiac and Rasmussen polls, they're showing something that we haven't seen in decades. Democrats sitting at record low approval numbers, barely scraping by at 19%. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not a slump. That is political freefall. In fact, it means 4 out of 5 Americans, they believe that the people running their party are doing a horrible job. In fact, some are saying that they're doing a terrible job. Even inside of Washington, D.C., the panic, it's spreading like a wildfire. Staffers are leaking stories about shouting matches behind closed doors. Pelosi-era holdovers are blaming Biden loyalists. Progressives are blaming moderates. And everybody's quietly wondering who's going to jump ship first before this whole thing goes down. You could practically hear the glass breaking inside of the DNC headquarters. Now, voters are fed up. Voters are pissed off with the inflation that never went away, the performative shutdown stunts, the obsession with investigations that really go nowhere. Even union households in Michigan and Pennsylvania, they're saying, hey, they don't speak for us anymore. The base has cracked. The money's drying up and enthusiasm's evaporating. In fact, the so-called party of compassion, they've somehow suddenly become the party of chaos. And that's not coming from Republicans. In fact, that's coming straight from the numbers. The American people, they've turned the page. And so now while Democrats are spiraling, President Donald J. Trump, he's doing something that no modern leader has done. He's getting stronger the longer that he's in office. We've never seen this before. In fact, this is historic. This is history in the making here. Even CNN's Harry Ensign, who built a career mocking MAGA voters, he actually had to choke out the words on live television. He said a majority of Americans believe Donald Trump is delivering on his promises. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. In fact, you could almost feel the collective heart attack taking place inside the CNN newsroom. Now, think about that for a second, okay? Despite the nonstop media attacks on Trump, the indictments, the global elite screaming democracy's at risk, Trump's approval rating is still holding steady at roughly the same level that won him re-election in 2024. This is unheard of. Why? Because Americans see the results. Gas prices are lower, the border's a little bit tighter. Actually, let me take that back. The border is a bit tighter. Jobs are up. We're not funding endless wars around the globe anymore, for goodness sake, right? Voters are remembering what competence feels like because they're seeing it. They're looking around and they're seeing a president who does what he says. And he's saying, yeah, I'll take more of that. I'm saying that. Drop a, yeah, I'll take more of that down below if you feel me on that one, right? So the steady Eddie label that the media mocked, well, let's just say it's now President Trump's greatest weapon. His consistency is power, and that is why the Democrats are terrified. Now, when your Medicare coverage fails, it's not just you who pays, it's your whole family who ends up picking up the pieces. Medicare premiums are set to rise next year, folks, and many Medicare Advantage plans are disappearing altogether. They're going to be gone, eliminated. So this is why I partner with Chapter, because they make sure that your Medicare plan works like a shield, protecting you and your loved ones. Now, one of our viewers, she commented just the other day, she said, Chapter gave me the confidence that my family wouldn't be stuck with my bills. So let me ask you, do you want your family to carry the burden, or do you want to do what most people already are and shielding them? Now, most people, they're dialing that number right there on the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number again is 909-563-8279. All right, guys, I want to talk strategy because this right here, this is where things get real. All across the country, the Republican redistricting machine, it's firing on all cylinders. Missouri just became ground zero for what insiders are now calling the red map revolution. Governor Mike Parson, he signed a Trump-backed plan that redraws congressional lines in a way that could hand Republicans yet another U.S. House seat heading into 2026. Guys, I don't know if you realize this, but this is massive. And it's not just Missouri. We're talking Florida, Texas, Ohio, and even Kansas are following suit using population shifts and census data in order to lock in long-term conservative majorities. Quick comment, let me know what state you're watching the show from today, guys. I want to hear from you in the comments. Democrats are screaming gerrymandering, but here's the truth. They started this war years ago with Illinois and Maryland. They opened Pandora's box. They started this basically, I almost feel like a fourth grader, right? They started it, he hit me first, but this is where we are right now. And now it's biting them hard. So this is like political chess. And President Trump's team is thinking 5 moves ahead. Drop a 4D chess down below if you understand what I'm saying here, guys. By securing map control in the battleground states, Republicans could very well expand their margin from a fragile 220 to 215 majority to a commanding one. Now, every new line drawn means one less district for Democrats to hide in. So this is what the mainstream media will not tell you. They're not going to tell you this, okay? Because they already know that it spells disaster for their side. Now, the message is clear. The red wave isn't coming. The red wave is already here, and it's being mapped into permanence at this point. So you guys remember when the media swore a blue wave was inevitable? Yeah, about that. So even NBC's Steve Kornacki, this is the guy that's, the guy glued to the election board. He's now admitting the numbers just don't add up. A year out from the midterms, Democrats are only leading by a few points. Now think about that for a second, right? A year out from the midterms, Democrats are only leading by a few points in generic ballot polling. This is a far cry from the 8-point lead that they held back in 2018 when the so-called blue wave hit. Right? So this is not momentum. This is clearly stagnation. And when you combine that with President Trump's strong approval and the redistricting advantage, you could start to see the full picture. Democrats have no path to power. In fact, their dream scenario, riding voter anger into a sweeping comeback, it has collapsed under the weight of reality. Now, even Democrat strategists, they're panicking left and right. Internal DNC memos leaked this week reveal that what they call a confidence crisis inside the party is exploding. Donors are pulling back. Grassroots energy is gone. And that wave, the wave that they promised, well, it's a little bit more like a puddle. Yeah, it's probably more like a puddle than a wave. The only thing that's rising right now is Republican enthusiasm. Guys, the verdict is in. The blue wave has officially drowned in its own hype. Now, here's where things get really interesting. So when even CNN starts admitting President Trump is delivering on his promises, you already know that the left is losing control of the narrative. Last week, CNN's own Harry Enton practically swallowed his words on live TV when he said, a majority of Americans believe Donald Trump is doing what he said he would do. Now, folks, that is not some fringe network. This is CNN. CNN, guys, ground zero for anti-Trump coverage since like 2016. They're now forced to acknowledge the obvious truth. You can see the panic in their anchors' faces. They tried to spin it saying, well, his approval rating hasn't skyrocketed, but the audiences, they saw through it. They realized Trump doesn't need a sudden spike. He just needs to stay steady while the Democrats continue to implode. And that is exactly what's happening right now. So when even the media establishment, the same people who push the fake polls, the fake narratives, and the fake scandals starts backpedaling, it means one thing. The story has gotten a little bit too big to bury. They can't lie their way out of this one anymore. In fact, the data speaks louder than their talking points. And so let's be real, guys. The moment CNN starts telling these uncomfortable truths, you already know something seismic just shifted. In fact, the empire of spin is now cracking. So what does this mean for us? Well, the people who actually care about saving this country, what does this mean for us? I'll tell you what. It means that it's time to lock in. No more complacency. No assuming that this is already in the bag. Please, guys, do not let off the gas, because every time the right gets a little bit comfortable, the left gets creative. We've seen this before. We need to treat 2026 like it's do or die. You understand what I'm saying? Drop a 2026 down below if you understand what I'm saying here. Register voters. Volunteer at the polling stations, okay? Become election observers. Make sure that they don't cheat again. Okay? Flood your local precincts, call your RNC reps. Do not let this moment slip away, because make no mistake, the Democrats, they're out there scheming. Behind closed doors, they're already whispering about new ballot initiatives. Okay? They're talking about some legal challenges and federal election reforms that are designed to claw back control. Do any of you want that? I don't want that. But here's the good news. This time, we're ready. In fact, the grassroots is awake, organized, and motivated like never before. We've already seen the blueprint. They've run this play before. So now it's our turn to outwork, to outthink, and to outlast them. I'm talking 4D chess here, guys, because the movement that President Trump ignited, it isn't just political. This is personal. This is about protecting our country's future, and the battle starts right now. So now let's talk about the stakes, okay? Because if the Democrats ever claw their way back in the power, they're not going to come back as reformers. They're going to come back for revenge, okay? Now, we've already seen what they're capable of when they hold the gavel, weaponized investigations, censorship disguised as fact-checking, and the entire federal agencies just turned into political tools. But this time they are vowing to go even further. Inside of DC, there's already open talk among far-left operatives about resetting the judiciary, adding Supreme Court judges, and gutting Trump-era reforms through executive orders, okay? I want you to fully understand what they're talking about here, guys. They've said it out loud. They want to make an example out of anyone who challenged their control. That means investigations into conservative donors, okay? That's huge right there. New speech codes on social media. What the heck is a speech code? This should terrify every American who values their freedom. And federal funding that's tied to ideological compliance. Now, you think that the media witch hunts were bad the last time? Imagine a full-scale political purge, this time backed by policy. Now, if they regain power, it won't be about leading the country. It's going to be about settling scores. This is why this is not just another election. This is a firewall movement. The line between freedom and permanent one-party rule. The left isn't hiding anymore. In fact, that's exactly why we cannot afford to lose focus right now. So I want you to contrast that with what's actually happening under President Donald J. Trump. After less than a year back in the Oval Office, the results speak for themselves. The economy, booming. The economy is booming again. Inflation, once the Democrats' favorite talking point, is now below 2.5%. The energy sector is roaring back to life. America is energy independent once more. Now, at the border, crossings have plummeted thanks to the reinstatement of Remain in Mexico, the wall expansion, the deportation agreements with Central American nations. Meanwhile, overseas, the endless wars have stopped. Trump's brokered peace deals in Eastern Europe, they're being hailed, even by foreign press, as the most significant diplomatic win in a decade. And the markets? Well, let's just say that the Dow Jones just broke another record. Manufacturing confidence is at a 6-year high. Every sector that Democrats strangled with regulation, it's breathing again. So these aren't just stats. They're proof that competence, not corruption, wins. So when people say Trump's approval is steady, that's because Americans see the results firsthand. They're living it. The economy's growing, the world's calmer, and the message is clear. Promises made, promises kept again. So now, one of the Democrats' biggest self-inflicted wounds this year came from their own arrogance, the government shutdown disaster. That's right. You guys remember that? They thought that they could force Trump into a corner by playing the victim, shutting down essential services and blaming Republicans for the fallout. But it backfired spectacularly. So while Democrats grandstanded on cable news, President Trump simply reallocated existing federal funds in order to keep the most important services running. I'm talking about law enforcement, military, and border security. The result? Well, the public barely felt the impact, unless you're in the airport. But even then, it was actually pretty manageable. If you guys had seen my previous video, I literally walked through showing you guys exactly what I experienced. So well done, President Trump. In fact, federal workers were taken care of through reassignments, emergency funds were activated, and meanwhile, the Democrats looked like a bunch of political arsonists lighting fires and then pretending to be the firefighters. It's absurd. In fact, then came the No Kings protest, supposedly a rally for democracy, but it really turned into a pro-Hamas, anti-police free-for-all that ultimately shocked the suburban voters who once had been moderate Democrats. Well, Trump, in contrast, he came out strong and calm, saying, we're not shutting down America for political theater. No, we're not doing that. That moment defined leadership strength under chaos. So while the left tried to manufacture outrage, Trump was the one who looked presidential. Once again, their plan to embarrass him blew up in their faces. So finally, we need to talk about the war that's reshaping the political battlefield itself: redistricting. Democrats thought that they could redraw the maps to secure their future, but instead, they just unleashed a political chain reaction that's now cementing Republican power nationwide. It all started in California, where Governor Gavin Newsom, some people call him Gavin Newscomb in the comments, they pushed Proposition 50, which was a blatant power grab, in order to flip 4 GOP-held districts. But Republicans didn't just sit back. Missouri, Florida, Texas, and even Ohio all countered with aggressive redraws that neutralized the Democrats' gains and then some. So Missouri alone is projected to give Republicans another safe seat heading into 2026. Now, here's the irony, okay? The Democrats who screamed democracy is under attack, they're now watching their own tactics destroy their map advantage. Courts in red states are upholding GOP plans. Conservative legislatures are coordinating across state lines, and strategists are calling it the great counter gerrymander. Every line drawn, every district flipped, every new seat gained, it all pushes the left further into irrelevance. So what they meant for control has turned into their undoing. This is why this moment matters. The map has changed, the polls have flipped, and the Democrats are officially out of moves. So here we are, guys, October 2025, and the writing is on the wall. President Trump's approval is climbing, the GOP map is expanding, and the Democrats' so-called blue wave has completely evaporated. And the same networks that was laughing at MAGA are now reporting its momentum. This isn't speculation, guys. The data is here. It's momentum. It is history unfolding today. Now, America is witnessing the rebirth of common sense, strength, and sovereignty. The red wave isn't coming. It's already here. I want you to like, share, and spread this message, because the truth is winning again. We're going to see you next time. Stay awake, stay free. This is Ron Yates. I'll see you on the next one.